in Oshobo, and there is another one in Shiroro. It is really possible, and they do it from time to time when there are problems, that if you continue to run the thing on an integrated basis, you are likely going to suffer a collapse.
You know, if you allow me to come in here.
Try and separate the two. So it is possible to run more than one transmission grid, and it will have its own benefits.
In my mind, I think, just sorry to cut you there, because we really have to see how much we can cover before we leave. What Margaret has asked, she asked about some of the challenges. Perhaps one of the issues Nigerians are grappling with is the way and manner it's been going back and forth like a yo-yo. Yes. First, you remember then in 2012, we hit a record of 4,517 megawatts. Yes. And in 2010, it was just 2,000. And in 2011 again, it went to about, it dropped. Then in 2012, the former Minister, Bath Naji, promised the nation that we were going to hit 5,000 megawatts by December of that year. We never saw that. We never saw it. So it's either we go up, then later on it goes down. So what truly is a problem? Now that we already almost get into the 5,000 mark again, are we going to consolidate on that, or are we likely to lose it the way it has always been?
Well, the basic principle there is that if your requirement is 1,000 megawatts and you want to have 1,000 megawatts all the time, then you are better off having 2,000 megawatts available. That is the basic principle, or at worst 1,500 megawatts. But if you have 1,000 megawatts and you are insisting that you will always have 1,000 megawatts, it is not possible. Maybe you can always have 500 megawatts. So when we hit 4,000 or we hit 5,000, that's actually all we have. And so if anything happens, you are surely not going to keep having that.
What can happen that will make us lose it for those leakages or loss?
Well, these are machines. These are man-made things. And for one reason or the other, something, it's like, I mean, somebody who owns one car. And he says he will always be on the road with that car. It's not possible. If you have two cars, you can begin to boast that you can be on the road all the time, because if you take one in for maintenance, the other one will be available. It is the same principle.
But are we making the best use of our hydro capacity or coal? Because you have people who are of the school of thought that, look, we have an abundance of coal here, even hydro. So if we make use of all of those as much as we can, while still also working on our thermal, improving our thermal capacity, we should be far better off.
Well, I think you are reasoning in line with, current thoughts about the development of the sector. Because, I mean, it is clear to us, if you look at the Niger and Benue, and you look at the Nile, for example, River Nile, in Sudan alone, on the Nile, they have about 8 dams. While on the Niger, we have just 2. We have Kainji and Jeba. Ideally, there should have been another power plant. That already was studied in Lokoja. There should be another power plant in Onitsha, hydros. Then on the Benue also, you ought to have Mambila, which the government is doing something, on now. Of course, Zungeru was commissioned, was flagged off last week. So a lot of things are going on in the hydros. And on the coal, there are 2 locations the federal government is doing something on by way of studies. And I believe by the time those studies are completed, they will get on with the development of some coal-fired power plants. But any state or any investors, who are interested in the locations where there is coal, where there is hydro, resources, can actually, get something going. For hydro, you could do small, medium, and then large. So if all the people that have the capacity to invest, governments, private sector, and even in partnership, if they were to focus on that and get going on that, certainly in the next few years, 5 years, 10 years, we should be, having abundance of power sources.
What about in the next, say, 2-3 years? How many megawatts do you think we should be capable of producing?
In the next 2-3 years, you could only be reaping the projects that have just started. And 2-3 years, you can only conceive and commission gas-fired power plants.
We're doing a roadshow now to market our NIPPs.
Yes.
How attractive are they?
Very attractive. Because these are brand new power plants that have been built to the strictest standards and according to the best practices in engineering for developing such power plants. And there is every advantage. The government started out focused clearly on what it wanted to do, to build these plants and concession them.
Are we getting the kind of interest we're looking for? Is there enthusiasm?
Oh, yes. There is. Quite a lot of participants were at the show yesterday. They are still there today. And apart from the huge success, met with the response in Lagos yesterday, the show is moving to London next week, and between the 12th and 13th, and the 25th and 26th is going to move to Hong Kong and thereafter to New York by 25th, 26th of June. And we expect that world-class partners are going to emerge that would invest in these plants that are ready, that are running. Most of them are, about at least 5 of them are running and on the grid. The others are certainly going to be on the grid before the end of December. That spares anybody the hassles of the developmental period. You don't have any community issues. You do not go through any stress of project management. You just find the funds and you get going with your power plant and put power on the grid.
Okay, all right.
And then, of course, the money being realized from that is going to revolve and used for further development.
Okay, we'll have to let it go there. Thank you very much indeed for coming on. Otis Anyeji is an engineer, also the Vice President at Nigeria Society of